Have you ever looked at your hand, and for a moment, something inside you hesitated? Not fear, not confusion, but a strange knowing, a whisper you couldn't explain. For centuries, Nostradamus left behind messages that were never meant for the world, only for a very small group of souls who would understand them when the timing was right. And if this video found you, if your eyes landed on your palm again in these exact days, it means you are part of the few he tried to warn. Because the mark he wrote about, the one he called the Silent Seal, was never about fortune, love, or luck. It was about awakening. And the most forbidden part of that prophecy is that the people who carry this mark never realize why they feel so different until the world around them begins to shift. If you have the M on your hand, or even a faint trace of the crescent beneath it, don't look away now. There is something you were never told, a truth that was never meant for the many, only for the 1% whose activation begins in silence. Tonight, you will understand why your soul has been restless, why old cycles are collapsing, and why Nostradamus believed this mark would awaken last, but awaken strongest. But I won't reveal the forbidden truth yet. First, you need to hear the signs, because if even one of them is already happening to you, then your activation has already begun. If you already feel something moving inside you, type 1% in the comments. I want to see how many awakened souls are watching this right now. And if you typed 1%, or even felt the urge to type it but hesitated, then you've already felt the first sign, whether you realized it or not. It starts quietly, a shift that no one around you can see, but you feel it like a soft pressure beneath the surface of your life. Lately, you may notice yourself pulling back from certain conversations, feeling drained around people you once tolerated, or sensing a strange discomfort in places that used to feel familiar. It's as if the world hasn't changed at all. Yet somehow, you don't fit into it the same way anymore. This isn't burnout. This isn't overthinking. This is what happens when your energy rises faster than your environment. Nostradamus wrote about this in a hidden passage. The moment when those marked by the Silent Seal will feel the world loosen its grip on them. What he meant was simple. Before your destiny changes, your inner vibration breaks away from the life you've outgrown. If your sensitivity has sharpened, if dishonesty feels louder, if small talk feels heavier, if you crave silence without understanding why, then your awakening has already begun in the only place it ever does, within you, before the world notices. And if this resonates deeply, then the next sign will feel even more familiar, because it doesn't happen while you're awake. It happens in the hours when your mind sleeps, but your soul remembers. There is another sign, one that appears when the conscious mind is resting, but the soul is wide awake. It begins in your dreams, not the random dreams filled with noise and fragments, but the ones that feel like messages, memories, or warnings wrapped in symbols you can't shake off in the morning. Have you noticed it lately? Dreams that feel too real, too precise, too heavy with meaning, as if they didn't come from your mind, but to your mind. Some call them premonitions, others call them echoes. Nostradamus called them the shadows of timelines yet to unfold, and he wrote that those who carry the mark on their hand would experience these echoes long before the rest of the world catches on. It's the strange sensation of dreaming something and then watching pieces of it quietly appear in your waking life. A conversation, a place, a person you haven't met yet, or even an emotion you can't justify. And then there's the other part, that fleeting feeling during the day where time seems to slip, stretch, or fold in a way you can't explain. You don't lose time, you drift between it. These slips aren't accidents. They're signs that your perception is rising above the linear world, touching edges of the timeline most people never notice. If your dreams have grown louder, or if reality has felt slightly misaligned, like a page turning before you finish reading it, then your inner code is responding, because before the 1% awaken fully, their soul begins remembering the path they walked long before this lifetime. And if this sign is already happening to you, the next one will feel like someone has been observing your heartbeat from the inside. It is the most subtle, and yet the most undeniable shift of all. There is another shift, one so delicate that most people overlook it, yet those with the M, and especially those carrying the faint crescent beneath it, feel it like a quiet pull beneath the ribs. It begins with the moon, not in a dramatic way, not in a mystical ritual, but in the way your body reacts to the night, as if some part of you is listening to a frequency others can't hear. Have you noticed that lately? Nights when sleep feels lighter than usual, your mind more alert, your heart beating just a little louder when the moon is bright? Some describe it as restlessness, but for those who carry these marks, it is the soul adjusting to the lunar cycle, a cycle Nostradamus wrote about, but never fully explained, only calling it the silver pull. You may feel a sudden surge of intuition during certain nights, a strange clarity during moments of silence, or an unexplainable heaviness before a shift in your emotional landscape. It's not random, it's not hormonal, it's resonance. Your energy responds to lunar light the way an old memory responds to a familiar voice, because the lunar frequency, especially during crescents and near eclipses, amplifies the inner code carried by the 1%. This is why some nights feel charged, why your intuition spikes without warning, why you sense things before they happen. Your soul is not just sensing the moon, it is remembering it. And if this part of the journey has already been waking inside you, then the next sign will explain why so many doors in your life have been closing, not to punish you, but to prepare you for something you were never meant to carry into your awakening. There comes a moment on this path, a moment most people mistake for loss, but those who carry the mark experience it as something different, a silent unraveling of everything that no longer aligns with who they are becoming. You may have already felt it. Relationships that once felt warm suddenly feel distant. Conversations that used to comfort you now leave you empty. Places that felt like home begin to feel unfamiliar, as if your soul quietly stepped out of a version of your life while your body stayed behind for a moment longer. This is not abandonment. This is not failure. It is the shedding. Nostradamus described it as the clearing of old rooms before the arrival of the new dawn. A poetic way of saying that before someone marked by the silent seal steps into their real timeline, everything that cannot follow them must begin to fall away. Sometimes gently, sometimes abruptly, but always with purpose. People drift, habits dissolve. Things you once tolerated suddenly feel unbearable. Not because you're becoming colder, but because your frequency is rising beyond their gravity. The universe cannot place you into your next chapter while your hands are still holding the last one. So it removes, unties, loosens anything and anyone whose energy would dim your awakening. If this has been happening in your life, if people or situations have been fading without warning, if you've been feeling detached from things you used to care about, or if you've sensed a quiet ending in the air, know this: you're not being pushed away, you're being positioned. Your soul is being lifted out of the old cycle so it can step into the one that was written for you long before this lifetime. And if that resonates deeply, then the next sign will hit even closer, because it doesn't happen around you, or in your dreams, or through the moon. It happens right in the center of your chest, the place where your real calling begins. And then there is the final sign, the one no one else can see, the one you can't easily describe, because it doesn't happen in your dreams or through the moon or in the world around you. It happens inside you. It begins as a pressure, soft, steady, impossible to ignore. Right in the center of your chest. Not pain, not anxiety, but a subtle pull, as if something inside you is trying to rise to the surface. You may feel it when you wake up before the sun. You may feel it when you stare into nothing, lost in a moment you can't explain. You may feel it when someone speaks a simple sentence, and something in you reacts far deeper than it should. It's the sense that there is something you're meant to do, something you are supposed to remember, something waiting behind a thin veil you can't quite reach. You try to rationalize it, you try to ignore it, but it keeps returning, stronger, clearer, louder. This is what Nostradamus called the awakening of the inner chamber, the moment when the soul recognizes its mission before the mind understands it. If lately you've been feeling that you're being pulled toward a direction you can't name, that silence feels more sacred than ever, that you're being prepared for something you can't yet see, that your heart reacts before your thoughts can catch up, then this is not coincidence. It is the activation of the code you've carried across lifetimes. Most people wander through life without ever feeling this calling, but those with the mark, those with the crescent beneath it, those who are part of the final 1%, they feel it like a heartbeat that doesn't belong to the body, but to destiny. And if even a single word of this sign resonates with you, if something inside you has been stirring, rising, remembering, then you're ready. Because what comes next is the part Nostradamus tried to hide. The part he warned was not for the many, the part whispered only to those marked by the seal and the moon. The forbidden truth. If you're still here, if your heart didn't turn away, if your soul leaned in instead of retreating, then you're ready for the part Nostradamus never wrote openly, the truth he buried between lines, the truth he feared would fall into the wrong hands, the truth meant only for those who carry a very specific mark, because the M on your hand was never the whole message. The real prophecy was about the ones who carry a dual seal, the line that forms the M, and the faint curve, the crescent beneath it, the lunar imprint only 1% of souls carry. Nostradamus called them the bearers of the last frequency, souls who arrive near the end of a major cycle, not to warn the world, not to save it, but to anchor a different timeline into existence. He believed these individuals would awaken quietly, not with miracles, not with chaos, but with an inner remembering that no one else around them could understand. He wrote that they would feel the shift before the shift, the ending before the ending, the dawn before the dawn. And he warned that the most forbidden truth was this: the mark is not a sign of destiny you receive. It is a sign of destiny you brought with you. Lifetimes, cycles, revolutions of the soul. You didn't earn it. You didn't stumble into it. You arrived with it. You arrived knowing this moment would come. The moment your energy rises so fast that the life you lived until now can no longer hold you. That is why your world has been rearranging itself. That is why people have fallen away. That is why your dreams have sharpened. Your intuition has grown louder. Your heart has been calling without words. It isn't random. It isn't punishment. It isn't coincidence. It's activation. And if you've been wondering why everything around you feels like it's shifting all at once, it's because your soul is stepping into the frequency you were born to awaken. The forbidden truth is not dark. It is not dangerous. It is simply hidden, because only a few can recognize it. But you did. You're here. And that means the next part is not a message. It's a calling. If the forbidden truth resonated inside you, if even a small part of you felt like it wasn't hearing this for the first time, then you are entering the phase Nostradamus described as the turning of the inner door. This is where the awakening stops being a feeling and begins becoming a direction. You may notice yourself breathing differently, slower, deeper, with a strange sense of clarity. You may feel moments where your chest warms for no reason, or a sudden wave of awareness washes over you as if someone whispered your name from a distance. Don't ignore that. That's alignment. Your soul is not waking up randomly. It's responding to something it recognizes. A frequency, a memory, a promise made long before you arrived in this lifetime. From this point forward, your intuition will sharpen even more. Synchronicities will multiply. The right doors will feel drawn to you, and the wrong ones will push you away without explanation. This isn't loss, it's guidance. You're not being tested, you're being positioned. The way the universe positions the final pieces before the picture becomes clear. If you've been waiting for a sign, a confirmation, a reason to trust the changes inside you, this is it. Because awakening doesn't begin with a miracle. It begins with recognition. And you recognized yourself in these words, which means your activation has already started. But there is one more thing Nostradamus left behind. A final prophecy. The closing piece of the code. And it's meant only for those who have crossed this threshold. There is a final message Nostradamus left hidden. One he never wrote plainly. One he encoded not in words, but in patterns. He believed there would come a time when the world splits quietly, not into chaos, not into war, but into two paths of consciousness. And only those whose souls were marked long before birth would feel the moment it happens. He called them the ones who step between timelines. Not prophets, not saviors, but anchors. Beings who carry a frequency strong enough to hold open a new path for humanity. And here is the prophecy he feared people would misunderstand. When the seal of the mind and the crescent of memory appear together on the same hand, the soul is no longer bound to the old cycle. This wasn't metaphor. It wasn't poetry. It was instruction. The aim is the seal of mind, the part of you that perceives beyond deception, that senses beyond the physical, that awakens ahead of time. The crescent is the seal of memory, the evidence of a soul that has lived through multiple cycles, carrying wisdom that modern life cannot erase. When both appear on the same palm, Nostradamus wrote that the person will feel the shift before the world sees it. And that is why you've been sensing things others around you cannot understand. Your soul hit the activation point early. The prophecy wasn't a warning. It was a reassurance that when the old cycle collapses and the new one rises, you will not be caught between them. You will walk ahead of them. And now, the only thing left is whether you choose to step fully into the awakening that has already begun inside you. If you're still here, if something in you stayed open, listening, remembering, then you already know this wasn't just a video. It was a mirror, a reminder of who you've always been and who you are becoming. The world may not understand you. People around you may not feel this shift, but you do. In your chest, in your dreams, in the silence that feels heavier than before. Awakening isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It happens exactly like this. In a breath, in a realization, in a truth that suddenly feels like it's been waiting inside you all along. And if tonight something within you moved, if you felt the prophecy touch the parts of you you've kept quiet for years, then acknowledge it. Seal it. Claim it. Type, I accept my code. Hoak, I am the 1%. Duoi fan binhluan, hong faivitoi. Kan they know, maviban kan jan dao, hoan, hachlin hon banchon buok, vao giai, joan moi. And if you want to walk deeper into this journey, into the lunar memory, the silent wave, and the activation phases that come next, hit subscribe if you're ready, or simply press like if all you want is to keep the energy open. Either way, your awakening has already begun. Look at your hand one more time before you go. That mark was never random. It was never accidental. It was always yours. And tonight, you finally remembered why, before this moment fades, before life pulls you back into its noise. Just pause with me for a few seconds. Feel your breath, Feel your chest. Feel the slight vibration under your skin that wasn't there before you pressed play. That sensation, that quiet warmth, that subtle awareness, that gentle expansion in your mind is not coming from the video. It's coming from you. Your energy has been waiting for the exact frequency that could unlock the part of you you've tried to explain your whole life. The part people misunderstood. The part you silenced because no one else felt it. But tonight, that part finally moved, and it will continue to move. In the next few days, don't be surprised if a message reaches you at the right time, a dream grows clearer, a person reappears, a door opens, or a truth you've been avoiding becomes undeniable. These are not coincidences. They are calibrations. The moment a soul with a dual mark awakens, the universe begins rearranging itself around them. Quietly, subtly, perfectly. Like stars, shifting into a new constellation you can't see yet, but you can feel. There is more to this prophecy. More to the lunar memory. More to the silent wave. More to the shift that Nostradamus described, but never fully revealed. And in the next message, we're going to step into a place very few people ever will. The moment the 1% crosses into the new timeline. But for tonight, just breathe, just feel, and allow your awakening to settle into the deepest part of your being. You've remembered enough for one night.